好的，观众，欢迎回到 LPL 季后赛，看一下昨天的那场比赛 ，OMG 和 ED 最终的话 ，ED 获得比赛的胜利，最终是挺进了决赛。虽然说 OMG 在前。
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2014 League of Legends Pro League Summer Playoffs. My name is Reed Rapid Melton. With me is Dominic Nero Dabrowski. We'll be taking you one step closer to crowning the 2014 LPL Summer Champions. Of course, as we do that, we turn our eyes tonight to LGD versus Starhorn Royal Club to crown the 4th place team here in the playoffs, and you'll see them coming up there on your screen in just a minute. But to give you a little bit of an overview of our teams here tonight, we can start off by talking about LGD. LGD started off the season very strong, as high as like a 3rd place finish in week 2, but then they pretty much shared 5th and 6th place for the rest of the season with Invictus Gaming. They made it into the playoffs here with a narrow victory over World Elite. They actually tied them, but they had faster game time for their victories, so they qualified over World Elite, which is a big surprise to a lot of people, and made it into the playoffs. But their kind of Cinderella season, as they barely made it in, kind of sent them into the playoffs against kind of the legends of their league. But after a 3-0 loss to Edward Gaming in the first round, they find themselves here tonight facing off against Starhorn Royal Club in a battle for 4th place. But Starhorn's story is kind of the opposite. Whereas they started off just above last place in the first week, they kind of settled in at 4th place before climbing as high as 2nd all the way in week 9. And while they came into the playoffs looking as strong as ever, their 2-3 loss versus OMG really showcased not only some of their early strengths, but also several of their fatal flaws.
Yeah, and that's mostly due to the language barrier. Like, you have Starhorn, and while it's okay to just say go when they have to engage or back when they have to fall back, it's really hard to regroup during the break time and then come up with some new strategies, while OMG can easily do that, and that's how they won against Starhorn. They just simply came up with an idea that beat Starhorn, and that was completely different from what they were doing earlier. So Starhorn, they do still have this language barrier, and while it's not really bad in game, it's really complicated outside of the game.
And that's exactly what the struggle was for Starhorn Royal Club towards the beginning of the season, where they did not start out very strong at all. They had a lot of communication issues. Their bottom lane specifically has been both the strongest bottom lane and also the weakest simultaneously. UZI has this tendency to go super ham. Sometimes it gets him pentakills, and sometimes, well, it doesn't quite work out that way. We've seen him Valkyrie into the middle of the team and kind of just die a lot. But whatever he does it with a lot of flashiness, a lot of style. He's a great AD carry to watch because everything he does is exciting, whether or not it actually winds up working out. But the synergy between UZI and Zero has just skyrocketed coming into the finals. You can see up until this point, they have a 61% win ratio, but of course that does include their last 3 losses versus OMG and their 3-2 defeat. So once again, they'll be fighting here against LGD in a battle for 4th place. Now, this is just the playoffs for the summer season of the 2014 LPL. This is not, who goes to Worlds, but it does determine how easy of a time it takes you to get to Worlds based on how far you progress here in the tournament. If you win, then you're actually only one best of 5 away versus Edward Gaming before you get into Worlds. So a lot on the line here. In 4th place, well, you're still in the qualifying tournament at the end after this, but you will have a very rough time to get there. So let's go ahead and introduce the lineup of Starhorn Royal Club. You can see up in the top lane, it's Cola. There's Insec on your screen, one of the Korean imports to Starhorn. In their mid lane, they will have Korn, who actually has a relatively diverse champion pool, but it'll be interesting to see how he matches up against Wayless's very heavy farm and roam style, which should be an advantage for LGD.
Well, people got really scared of Korn's Yasuo. Well, on the other hand, we have Wayless, who came up with this Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, builds on everything that he plays. And actually, as Lissandra was still good, but it didn't win them the game. It was not really able to carry. So Korn should have an advantage if they don't give the Orianna to Wayless in the middle lane. And the bottom of Starhorn Royal Club, it is Zero and UZI. These two guys are just legendary.
Absolutely, and especially legendary has been, maybe not necessarily their synergy, which has been good, but their individual performances. Zero, sometimes he just puts the team on his back, and of course we've seen UZI do that, getting pentakills. I believe it was last week that he did that. You've got, you know, UZI, the guy with the pentas. You've got Insec, who started things off by revolutionizing the Rengar picks, has already a very strong Lee Sin, and even played Shaco last week, so very strong, very aggressive jungler, but could get caught out a little bit early on if there are things like lane swaps that limit his early effectiveness and synergy with their middle lane. But let's go ahead and take a look at their opponents. Across the board, it is LGD. We're going to start things off with their shot caller, their captain. It's PYL, and he's been around in League of Legends for an incredibly long time and is one of the big backbones of their team. But no one has more invested in their playoff run than this guy on your screen right here. This is XQ, and if you're a member of the Church of XQ, then you are all about that hashtag LGD hype. XQ comes in to this tournament having replaced one of the legendary AD carries of China in STYZ. He has some very big shoes to fill, and he and the guy on your screen right here, Wayless, are both new to the team this season. And especially with those last two Lissandra games not actually working out very well, Wayless has had an incredible roam and farm game, and you'll expect to see guaranteed Orianna bans versus Starhorn Royal, or versus LGD from Starhorn, unless it's, you know, first picked away. So moving on, you can see Chuan, and Chuan is actually one of the weak spots on LGD. Doesn't have a lot of presence out there, at least not as much as other junglers, and is still working on solidifying the synergy with the rest of his team.
Yeah, and he mostly relies on Lee Sin. Usually this is a ban Lee Sin and Chuan is useless kind of strat for the teams against him, but he's been stepping up lately, and as the whole LGD, they were always sitting at the 6th place. That was just the story of the previous split. This time around, they managed to get in the playoffs, and just barely. They had to win 2 series and then split 1, and they just made exactly that.
Yeah, it was the closest possible trip to the playoffs for LGD. They qualified just barely edging out World Elite, and, well, they lost 3-0 in their first games in the first round versus Edward Gaming. So this is do or die. If you win, you advance to the next round of the lower bracket. But if you lose, you're out of here with a 4th place finish in the 2014 summer split. Let's go ahead and hop into game number 1, picks and bans on your screen. Starhorn Royal Club in the blue, banning out, of course, the Zillion and Alistar, but the big question is who bans the Orianna? If LGD don't ban it right here, then, well, Starhorn might have the opportunity to pick it up. We'll see who decides to take that off the field first.
It is really hard to ban out Korn, the mid laner of Starhorn, so that definitely should be a big problem to LGD. And there we go, the Z ban coming out from Starhorn, which means LGD should get the Orianna. However, Korn, he can also play the Orianna successfully. He has 5 and a 2 record on this champion. So compared to 6 and a 5 for LGD, it's a little bit better.
Right, but like we said, you have to keep Orianna out of the hands of both mid laners. LGD can't afford to give it away, and neither can Starhorn, especially true versus Wayless. So we're going to see how this works out. The lock-in on Yasuo very early on. LGD not afraid to tip their hand as far as that mid lane matchup, and while Wayless is famous for prioritizing the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith on his AP mid lane farmers just to get incredible CS numbers, this time around it's going to be a Yasuo in the mid lane for him. See what Korn locks in, hovering over Fizz.
It still is not 100% Yasuo in the middle lane. Since 17, he played Yasuo in the top lane already, so that is a possibility. However, this Fizz for Korn and this Braum for Zero, that is already great for Starhorn. These two champions are undefeated for them. and the undefeated Jax for Korra 1 yesterday won even after losing the lane.
It's true, so stats don't lie, and when you have an undefeated record on champions, if it works, well, just keep doing it until it doesn't, and we'll see if it stays true here with a Fizz and Braum lock-in. The other pickup is, of course, the AD carry for UZI. The guys were watching his Vayne pentakill. I was expecting maybe the Vayne hyper carry to come out, but we've actually seen maybe a trend away from the hyper carries in LPL. Kog'Maw you still see a lot, but maybe not a lot, not as much Tristana as you'd expect. Vayne, it's still coming in after recent buffs, but you'll see a lot of Lucian, Corki, and Graves, actually. Expect to see that from XQ maybe in some of the later games in this series. But with Rengar being one of the trademark champions of Insec, it's going to be either a Lee Sin or a Rengar guaranteed. And, well, Lee's banned out, so going for the Rengar for Insec. And like you said, the Jax won yesterday. See if Cola can make it happen as Starhorn Royal Club lock it in.
Yeah, and here's the story of both of the teams. You do have to ban out Orianna because both of the mid laners are extremely good with her. And then you have to ban out Lee Sin because both of the junglers are extremely good with him. So that really hurts LGD a lot. They cannot get a Lee Sin onto Trent, they cannot get an Orianna onto Wayless. But on the other hand, Rengar, we didn't see this champion for quite a long time, and Insec finally picks it up. And as I said, this most probably can be an Yasuo in the top lane, and Diana for Wayless.
Well, they're hovering over Diana, but it should be a default to something like a Lissandra. Maybe going for a Ziggs if he really wants to farm, but no, they change it to an Ahri at the last second. And most likely this will not be a Spirit of the Spectral Wraith Ahri, but it is still a big assassin versus assassin mid lane matchup. See how Wayless plays this one out. And honestly, what's most incredible about this game is not any of, well, okay, it's going to be incredible performances from individual players, but it's the big difference in macro focus between these two teams. LGD, when almost the entire LPL represent a general weakness in macro strategy amongst a lot of the lower teams, LGD come out with one of, if not the strongest macro strategy in the game. Their roams, their rotations, their ward coverage, especially early on, is just so impressive to watch. But the big weakness that Starhorn have as a strength is the synergy between the members of their team. Team fighting just works out so well for Starhorn because they just flow so well together. So we'll see the overall macro strategy advantage for LGD and maybe some of their new up-and-coming carries. They face off against a team that's had some struggles with synergy early on, but are looking very strong coming in here to the LPL playoffs. We'll get into our game number 1 in just a minute. Stick around. This is the LPL in English. Twitch TV. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2014 League of Legends Pro League Summer Playoffs. My name is Rapid. I'm here with Nero, and we're hopping into game number 1 out onto the Rift for Starhorn Royal Club versus LGD. They always show the runes up there, and I think what they're highlighting is the hybrid penetration runes from Korn versus the just straight up magic penetration for Wayless. And 26%, is that crit chance? I want to say that's crit chance for 17's top lane Yasuo. We'll see how effective that is at winning these early game trades.
Yeah, it is with a Brawler's Knopf. That definitely is.
All right, so nice counter-strike there by Cola. A nice counter to Yasuo's, the ability to dodge away from all of the critical strike chance. Just 100% dodge. It's pretty cool against an auto-attacking champion. So Cola goes with an equally hyper-carry-oriented top laner, but one that's a little bit more standardly seen up in the top lane. 17 still has to kind of prove this Yasuo top as opposed to mid, where you usually see it.
No, but as I said, he's already played it, so it's not like he brings a champion that he doesn't know how to play into this top lane. And 17 is a former mid laner, so that also brings him a little bit of Yasuo expertise. And yeah, talking about the what teams want to achieve. While their picks and bans might look quite similar because Lee Sin is their favorite pick and Orianna is their favorite pick for both of the sides, but Starhorn will be looking for the team fights. They will be looking for the early aggression. While on the other hand, LGD, they will try.
PYL just walked right by Starhorn. He didn't even see them. He's just like, oh, I'm walking through my jungle, heading down to bottom lane. They're right there, but they don't know where Starhorn are right now. Didn't ward out their own blue, and now especially with UZI's trajectory walking into lane, see how he and Zero start this duo lane up. And this is actually really, really good for Starhorn because they have even lane matchups, standard across the board. And this is where Insec primarily thrives because he's able to get that synergy with Korn, with Cola on the top half of the map, which is actually where LGD are weakest. They have their strengths in the mid and bottom.
Yeah, so continuing what I was saying, LGD will want to outplay Starhorn by rotations, by baits, and traps. So most probably LGD would want to do the same thing as Starhorn. They should be the ones to invade the buff unnoticed and then try to outplay Starhorn. But it is SH coming out with this strat.
Speaking of strats, LGD have been one of the more creative teams in LPL. Oh, Cola's going to get a little bit of a trade there. 17's trading it back. Like I said, LGD are innovators. They've done things like send 4 or 5 people into the bottom half of the jungle and just camp it out and try to kill the enemy jungler over and over again. They've also done things like 5-man ganking mid at 3.5 minutes into the game. Like, who sees that coming? It's a really interesting strategy where the way that they break the laning phase and just go straight for team fights, especially so early on. But it does look like a primarily standard start to the game, so nothing too unique just yet.
Yeah, so it's not Edward gaming in this game. We'll not see the 5 minutes dragon fight. That's probably not gonna happen. But definitely Starhorn should be looking for the aggression. And with Insect sitting on Rengar, though, they will have to wait until level 6. While Tran should be doing a little bit more early on.
Junglers finally finishing both of their buffs. Insect actually a little slower, but that is primarily just because he hasn't... I guess Rengar a little bit earlier on, not quite as fast as Jarvan. And speaking of Jarvan, we didn't actually touch on Twen and the function that he plays in LGD. He has traditionally been a little bit more of a weak link to the team, especially up against stars like Wayless and XQ and guys like PYL who's been around for a long time. But on this Jarvan, I actually really like this pick because it's less of a, I'm a hard carry, you have to rely on me to do well, and more on, hey, I set up beneficial situations for the rest of my team by locking people down with big cataclysms and setting up ganks, very strong ganks very early on that will wind up helping out his lanes.
Yeah, so the strong ganks early on might be the key right here because Insect cannot really do enough to stop him at this moment.
That's true, and one of the big things that LGD love to do is they love to fight, especially over the early phase of the game. Because they're so great at those big rotations, it's awesome to see how they set things up. Speaking of setups, you have Twen waiting in the bottom tri-brush. Starhorn have no idea that he's there. They're playing so far forward, but now with PYL walking up, throws out the death sentence, expects the juke, but doesn't find it. That means that Twen's time will be a little wasted. He'll have to go back into the jungle.
Yeah, he still wasn't noticed, so he could have just come from behind, but didn't do this. Just
and look at
back
Korn.
into the jungle.
Korn is actually starting the roam ahead of Wayless. He's still sitting in the mid lane. So Korn is not necessarily looking to find a gank towards the bottom lane because his bottom lane's so far pushed. What he's looking to do is maybe find Twen roaming around that corner trying to come to the bottom lane because it's pushed and set himself up for a nice counter there. But doesn't find anything. It's back to that mid lane matchup.
Yeah, and he didn't even use a ward just because he has a sweeper's lens, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Didn't find Twen. Was there a little bit too late, though?
Oh, but Insec is in position. And he's going to jump onto PYL, walks a little bit too far forward. Immediately, the Ignite, the flash out is not going to be enough, and PYL going down. Insec with the first successful gank of the game.
Well, it's really hard to run away from a Braum, especially with a Lucian, when you can land all these stacks of concussive blows so quickly. It stuns you and it deals massive damage, and PYL tried to run away. Couldn't really pull it off. And XQ also used up his heal.
Oh, now bottom lane, like you said, XQ, no heal available. And Valkyrie, though he might. A perfect gank behind the turret. Insects making it happen again. Second kill. And it gives them both the UZI.
Oh yeah, and the UZI with 2 kills is an extremely dangerous threat. Right down there.
Oh, but going into the top lane, it's what? Okay, some anticlimax here. It was an immediate last breath right off the knockup combo, beautifully coordinated between 17 and Chuen. But apparently, there's some technical difficulties, the least of which being Cola's health bar, which appears to be having a few difficulties right now too.
Well, Cola will have a tough time running away from this one, definitely. But 17's ultimate, I expected him to ult when Jarvan jumps in, but he did that even before, so
that's true. They did stack
nice
CC on there, so if Corrin winds up living here, it's not going to be because of, or if Cola winds up living here, it's going to be because they stacked those CCs and didn't lock him down for long enough. But this is going to be a pretty interesting situation to unpause in. It's always a little bit rough to hit the pause button right during the middle of a fight or a gank or something. We'll see how that impacts the unpause timing. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, and Cola war jumps! He's gonna flash away! They're looking for the follow-up through the turret. Chuen is actually taking up the turret. 17 takes a turret shot. 17 will actually be able to dash through that. He needs one more auto attack, and the standard comes out from Chuen. Takes him down at long range. LGD diving so hard through that turret. They pick up the kill.
But they had to use up a lot right there. 2 flashes burned for LGD, and now there is a question, was it even really worth it? Because Starhorn, they can try to go for the dragon.
Or
at least steal the blue buff.
Exactly, and really, Insect was not in position to do the dragon. The duo lane was not there, and you'll actually notice the duo for LGD moving up to actually intercept Zero on his way back down to the bottom lane. But now PYL might actually be a little bit out of position. PYL and XQ are only level 5, whereas UZI has already hit 6, so he's got the culling. There's no ult there, but Insect actually throwing on his ultimate doesn't go in onto Wayless.
Yeah, I expected him to go in. He could have just run away without any big problems, but no, he didn't, and the dragon is still alive, so in the end, LGD didn't get really punished too much, but still, losing 2 flashes in this top lane is a questionable play. And I think that Chuen wasn't really ready for the unpause because he was just standing there for a split second. He didn't attack Cola.
But look at what Chuen's doing. He's actually giving the opposing blue buff, he's stealing that away and handing it off to Wayless. So that's a nice steal, and that gank, even though it blew a lot of summoner spells, of time, pressure, all of that top lane, what it did was get 17 ahead. And now he has so much crit chance there in his build that there's almost no way. Oh, Charm lands from around the corner, Wayless. Nice snipe there onto Corrin, forces him to flip away. Like I said, oh, bottom lane, there's a nice glacial fissure. PYL is going to get exploded, but look at XQ, he's trying to trade that damage right back around, and he'll find the counter kill onto Zero. UZI still in the driver's seat with more health and damage, but XQ able to turn it right back around. Now Wayless going to throw down his ultimate. Corrin is chasing him out there, trying to flip back away. Wayless actually goes back in. He's forced to flash away. The Ignite's down, and it's Corrin winning the 1v1. Wayless going down 4-2. Early start for Starhorn.
Yeah, and about the bottom lane, it's not like it rarely even happens for Starhorn. Usually when they go for a dive, someone dives to the turret, and that's really unfortunate. They need to work on it. Usually it was UZI. This time around it was Zero, but still dying to the turret while diving, not a good thing. However, Korn gets a kill on this Fizz, and this Fizz is undefeated, so that's gonna hurt a lot.
One of the things we were hyping up about Wayless is how good he is at roaming, how good he is at farming. But in the 1v1s, you can just see Corrin knows exactly how they're going to play out, sees it ahead of time, and was able to take out Wayless there, just straight up 1v1 duel. But a big discrepancy in item buys you'll see there because of maybe the CS, but actually should be a little bit more even. It's a needlessly large rod and Fiendish Codex for Wayless, so he's going to be going that DFG Ari, which is very, very bold because traditionally against Fizz you'd want something like the Athene's route, where you have more magic resistance against the big assassination. Wayless is just saying, hey, the best defense is a good offense, going for the DFG.
And in the middle lane, actually it's a perfect thing for Starhorn because it was Insect stealing the blue buff away from LGD. So Korn didn't have his own. Now that Korn got a kill on Wayless, he has his own too. So that is a successful blue buff steal for Starhorn Royal Club. Right there.
And another pause, so we'll take a little bit of a break. But some big things happening. One, the ganks from Chuen up top lane have really helped out 17, so I'm excited to see how well that snowballs that top lane down. But with all the action happening bottom, you can see even though it's trading out relatively even, Insec started off very, very strong, snowballing that bottom lane, getting a couple kills for UZI. But the big question mark, of course, with that 1v1 in the mid lane is how this Fizz snowball is really going to affect things, because we haven't seen the first dragon be contested just yet, and off of a mid lane and a bottom lane that are doing very well for Starhorn Royal Club, that could definitely change the way that dragon goes with some additional pressure.
Yeah, and there's no EDG in the game, there's not much of a dragon pressure, that's pretty much it. Usually it's EDG Edward Gaming that want to get the first dragon, the first team fight immediately right there. But here, these teams actually decide to play it a little bit slower.
Insect's gonna flash in there, he lands the bolo, it's the empowered one, snares out Wayless, and Wayless just explodes Insect with another successful gank. And that is gonna be his third, he's 3 for 3. Not off of just blowing summoner spells, but of getting kills for his team, and off of that mid lane pick, Starhorn goes straight to dragon.
Yeah, and finally the dragon will happen, but actually there's no big dragon focus. Usually these teams just run around the lanes and get each other killed. Starhorn definitely comes out on top of this one.
Oh, but comes out from PYL. He grabs, trying to back away. Death sentence out there onto Insect, but now Korn, I don't think he's too worried about things. He'll go ahead and flip himself back away. 17 is chasing out. Kolo goes underneath turret, and Kolo's actually going to turn that damage right back around. 17 might have overextended just a little bit, but has minions to get him out alive.
And actually switching from this dragon onto a strand, well, getting a jungler kill would definitely be a great thing, but still.
Death sentence again onto Korn, but the charm will actually land on a 0. Fish chum the waters onto PYL. He'll take a lot of damage from UZI in the back, but stay alive, and individual picks on both sides. 0. Trading his life out there for Chuen, but 17, the 1v1, Kola's winning out in the top lane. And it's going to be overall a teamfight win, or not a teamfight win, but a win for Starhorn, 2 for 1 across the map.
Oh yeah, across the map, and it's just the support going down on Starhorn Royal Club, and it was PYL who got the kill.
Oh, but PYL, another death sentence landing. He's on point with his death sentences. There's just no punctuation at the end to finish them.
Oh yeah, he steps up his Thresh play right here. He comes back to his form from the very beginning of the split, where we hyped up PYL as the best Thresh player in the China, but then he started missing a lot of these hooks. He was pretty bad with this Thresh. Finally comes back to his former form. Let's hope it stays there.
Definitely hope so. 17, even after that early gank from Chuen, got him about as far ahead as you can hope for. Nice job by Kola, was able to win that lane back out. The big difference, of course, is that Kola's ultimate provides him with a passive, so he's always getting benefits from that, whereas Yasuo has to go all in with his last breath, usually comboing it with Chuen, but in the 1v1, Jax, that's what he's built for. Was able to win that one out. So Static Shiv, a big power spike completed for 17, and Kola's still not on his Blade of the Ruined King, so maybe a little bit of an item discrepancy. See how that affects things, as still no DFG for Wayless, whereas Korn is sitting on those components looking for a Lichbane first. Infinity, oh my gosh, there's an Infinity Edge completed on UZI, and I'm pretty sure he picked that one up right around the 13-minute mark, so He is looking incredibly strong. Top lane, Cola gonna go back in on to 17. He does not have minions to jump back to. Leap Strike's out there. Insect's got the jump if he wants it, and he finds the kill. Twin actually was going in on that, but now it's Zero roaming up around from behind. Starhorn, they're gonna find the kill. 2 for 0 exchange. Starhorn explode top lane. Find 2 kills and a dominant 9-3 lead.
Yeah, and as LGD could have expected Insect right there, they definitely didn't expect Zero around the top lane, and that gave Starhorn the edge. And actually, Starhorn might start getting the turrets. And that's when the game is gonna get sloppy for LGD. The gold deficit is going to be big.
And look at Zero. He is about as far away as he can get from his carry, and that's a big trademark of Starhorn. UZI is an incredibly like technical 1v1 kind of AD carry. So sit him in a side lane, let him farm things out, and he actually shoved the wave all the way into the second tier bottom lane turret by himself, while Zero was busy carrying the rest of the teams. Like, I can support more than just an AD carry. He roams top lane for not 1 but 2 kills, and then is able to completely clear out the upper jungle ward coverage from LGD, and lay not 1 but 4 wards for Starhorn. Top lane, the vision control just so far in their favor.
And as we said before the game, LGD will try to counter the aggression of Starhorn, and they have perfect picks for that. They have Ahri, they have Thresh, but it's just not working out. Whenever PYL hits his magnificent hook, they still cannot find the kill. LGD just don't have the damage.
And now UZI is going to get a red buff. There's the Lich Bane completed for Korn. Insec has been landing every single bolo strike he can get his hands off of. Just incredibly strong early Rengar play, but we'll see what LGD can do. The rotations are where they get their strength, and they have 5 members mid lane on this middle turret. We'll see if Starhorn can respond in time. Teleport coming in from behind. Wayless is going to get caught out there immediately. Korn will be able to Playful Trickster himself back away there and avoid all the Ahri damage, but Cole is just going to explode. Now Twen is the next casualty of war. Starhorn now, they are looking to push the issue on to PYL, but look at 17. He goes in with the last breath. He goes down. It's his last breath, although Korn will fall in return. It's a 2 for 4 exchange. Only XQ left alive.
Yeah, and UZI even used up his heal to go for the aggression, to go for the movement speed boost, but then there's 17 from behind, so they hesitated for a little bit. Still,
with the flash, the jump over the wall onto XQ Insect. How does he hit every single one? He goes under turret, gets out with 10 HP, and Starhorn, they're going to take 2 turrets off of that. They take out XQ, and just, wow, the engages from Insect. Just so crazy. We're going to get a replay of this team fight. Coming in the mid lane, you see Wayless immediately gets caught out. He'll actually get double bounce there from the Glacial Fissure coming back in. Korn, he goes in and immediately flips right back out. In the meantime, it's Cola. He's going to be the big engage. He's 1v4, and even though he dies, look at where Starhorn are. They're all grouped up. They've got Insect coming in from behind, and now they're the ones to pursue into LGD. PYL gets a nice flay, and that's when 17 goes in, but he goes in just a little bit too hard, and look at Korn's damage. He blows Wayless apart. And after that, it's all XQ, and of course the dive from Insect to kill him off there towards the end.
Yeah, and Korn used Playful Trickster twice in this fight, and always just completely avoided the damage from Ahri. So Wayless was pretty much useless in this fight. He didn't do anything just because this Fizz outplays him with his kit.
Oh my gosh, Wayless just got crit down for like half of his health. Throws the Ardent Blaze out, and UZI's culling takes out 75% of Wayless's HP bar. Now Korn playing very aggressively. He knows that Zero's got the follow-up. The turnaround, though, onto Zero over the wall. Wayless goes over, back, and out of there. He is down. But so is Zero. A nice 1 for 1. This actually turns into a 1 for 2. And now, oh, PYL, can he turn this one around? 17 goes in. He grabs the last breath. Now, Insect kiting for his life. Tries to run back to Cola. But now it's actually Cola who might be running away. It's UZI a little bit behind enemy lines, but he'll be mobile enough to escape. And LGD turn it right back around onto Starhorn, taking out Cola and Insect. Or Korn and Insect, my bad.
Yeah, and Zero also went down at the very beginning of this fight. So finally, LGD find a good fight for themselves, but still it's not enough to come back into this game. They need to start finding turrets or dragons now that they are going for them. But 4-1 in turrets is still not a great position to be in. Starhorn do have a lot of map pressure with this one.
That's true, and LGD might not be even able to take down this dragon. Cola can just leap strike in here, and he's got so much follow-up from UZI. Now, LGD finally take down that. And like you said, Twen and the death sentence from PYL really zoning Starhorn off of that objective.
Yeah, so LGD get a little bit of something for themselves, but still, this is 6k gold deficit for them. And they really need some damage. With 0-4 Whalers, it's not really gonna be there for quite some time.
17 came up with a pretty big turnaround here, but now it's Starhorn's turn to turn the game back around in their favor. Rengar throwing down an ultimate of his own and looking for the engage! Exclamation marks, they're gonna show up. The challenger is approaching there. It's Insect, but he's not going in. LGD will weather the storm of the Rengar ult, and no pickoffs just yet. Insect not willing to ruin his perfect Bola score. I think we need that as a stat, like numbers of Bolas hit. I want to see stuff like that. Like Insect, I'm pretty sure he's only missed one of them when he went for the bottom lane gank, but he's hit almost everyone after that. And when you gank with a full bar of fury, it actually gives you the ability to throw out 2 Bola strikes, one that slows, one that snares. And actually, Starhorn are 2-manning Baron. Well, they'll start things off with 2-man. Of course, UZI and Corrin are going to be right there on the back of that with just Zero zoning things off. And LGD, the team with usually the better rotations, are horribly out of position. That's a free Baron for Starhorn. Probably not necessarily in their cards, but Starhorn used their early advantage. 16-8, they're double in kills. More than double in turrets. 5 times the number of turrets. And, well, they've got an infinite percentage advantage in numbers of Barons. They take the first one at 21 minutes.
Yeah, and LGD did not expect a Baron at 20 minutes into the game. And as you said, Insect is just playing this Rengar perfectly. He's always where he's needed. He always hits the Bolas. And that's the tricky thing while playing Rengar. You have to hit the Bolas, and he does that.
He also hits the Barons, and I'm not sure exactly who it was that made that call, but Insect and Cola started it off. They're like, hey, we're in the area. LGD have been forced to recall thanks to them getting Dragon and then rotating back out. Now Corrin, Corrin, he's waiting for the Chum the Waters. Keep in mind you can block that with a wind wall, but he throws it out before the wind wall even comes out there. 17 gets exploded, and Corrin killing off both 17 and my vocal cords simultaneously. Try to fix those up, but LGD just getting caught out of position for the Baron, and definitely out of position there for 17 in the top lane.
And that's why Fizz was banned every single time against Starhorn in their series against OMG. That's just Corrin. He's too strong on this Fizz, and when Fizz gets going, he's gonna erase every member of your team immediately.
UZI just dashing right underneath the turret. He gets bonus armor from Zero, stand behind me. He can even just send somebody up to tank the turret, somebody tanky like Insect, who has actually completed a Sunfire Cape on top of that Feral Flare, which has already been completed. So Insect is tremendously far ahead, and I think the rest of his team are kind of fitting in the same category. 605 score for UZI. Already has 4 of his 6 items, if you want to count the boots out there. Oh my gosh, that UZI is ridiculous. But that is not to take the focus away from guys like XQ, who has been picking up kills of his own, 4-2-3. The big difference, though, the discrepancy between the mid laners, between Wayless and Corrin. Death Sentence lands over the wall. Insect takes a little bit of a hit. The culling coming out onto Wayless. It's not enough. Almost goes down, but he's going to have to be very, very careful. The damage from UZI just way too much to handle.
UZI didn't even land a single auto attack right there. There was no static shift proc. That would have been dead Wayless right there if UZI just had the time to land an auto attack.
And now PYL's gonna start the fight. He'll be the first to die though. Zero very, very tanky. Throws down the face of the mountain to keep himself blocking out a little bit of that damage. Insect, you're not sneaky when you're running under turrets, so he's not gonna dive through there and start a bigger fight. The Starhorn are not afraid to force this issue now that it's a 4v5.
Yeah, and even when this was a 5v5.
Bolo lands on to Twen, and the flash in, it's a 3-man 3-man counter-strike stun from Cola, but the counter engaged there by 17. He's going to be able to assassinate UZI. No! Zero in the back line, keeping him alive. And now with 3 down, Starhorn. Perfect team fighting. They've got each other's backs. They've got the first inhibitor against LGD.
And PYL had to go in back then. They couldn't give away the inhibitor turret for free, and they couldn't win a fight in a 5v5. So they had to do something. PYL was the sacrifice, and they still had to give up the inhibitor. And Starhorn, they have such a huge advantage right now. No dragons on the map, no barons on the map, because they take everything.
They've taken just about everything outside the base. They've just finished taking down the the second tier top lane turret. So 7-1 in turret score, and that's not even counting objectives. Starhorn able to take down the first Baron, all but one of the dragons, and you can just see that reflected in their 12,000 gold lead at 24 minutes. Starhorn, they had a little bit of a lackluster showing versus OMG. They came out strong, but then they lost the last 3 games, getting reversed all killed. You can see they are not about to lose or to get knocked out of this tournament. Not about to lose to LGD. Coming out with a very strong Game 1 performance, but they still have to close out the game. Have all the tools to do it. You just need to see them put them in action.
And LGD is an extremely intelligent team also, so they can also do the thing that OMG did. They can just regroup, talk about what is going on, what is wrong for them, and then come back into this series. But still, it's gonna be a hard thing to come back from a 0-2 deficit. So they have to make things happen in the second game at least.
Waiting to see who's going to be the one to start this fight. Usually it's PYL landing a death sentence, sometimes Wayless landing a charm, but just look at UZI. He takes off a quarter of XQ's health, and just using that culling to put off so much pressure. Ultimate is up for Insec if he wants to use it to jump down through the turret. Chum of the Waters does not land, but Insec's going in, maybe a little bit ahead of schedule. There's the Glacial Fissure, some nice knockups for 17 to go in, but 17 goes down, Twen goes down, and it's only for the life of Zero. A nice Cataclysm in the backline. Insec will actually overdive, and now he is going to be taken out of the fight. Korn, very, very low. Still has a lot of damage, but Death Sentence lands on Cola as he leaps back in. The inhibitor is still alive, but look at the burst from Corky. XQ, he'll even flash away from the Fizz, and now Korn should actually die here. There's Wayless, he's in there. He needs one more auto attack. UZI barely surviving with the last little sliver of his HP. PYL wants some blood, but he's not going to be able to find UZI as he'll actually look to lifesteal a little bit off the Wraith camp. I was about to say he didn't have a lifesteal item, but he just barely has that Vamp Scepter for 10% off there, and he'll be able to sustain up just a little bit in the jungle. He's at 2 HP. The rest of the enemy team is respawning. He's just like farming up their jungle.
Yeah, and LGD almost got an ace right here, so that's a little bit of a comeback, but still, it doesn't really give them the huge amount of gold that they are behind. And that was almost the second inhibitor down, and that is the bottom lane inhibitor open. If Starhorn just take it, they can take another Baron, which will be spawning in just a couple of seconds.
And it does look like Starhorn Royal Club will be in more than good positioning for that objective. They got pick wards on the Baron itself. No chance for LGD to have even left their base long enough to go for any Baron wards. And while they probably know that Starhorn are doing it, we'll see if they decide to contest. It's already down to half health. LGD are not going to be in position for this objective, but they may be able to set up some sort of a trap. Oh, PYL, he throws the ward over the wall. Not going to get picked off there. Starhorn take their second dragon, or their second Baron rather, of the game. And oh, Insec, he's turned on his ultimate. Thrill of the hunt. See how thrilled he is. The culling coming out right onto 17. He's gonna get taken down to below half health. One more auto attack's all it's gonna take, but he's able to survive. Insec over-diving. He's gonna go down. He's the first death of this team fight as Wayless takes the Chum the Waters, but he actually manages to stay alive. Junglers down for both teams. Wayless trying to get in there on a Korn. Korn has that Zonya's Hourglass, stays alive. The burst damage from XQ. Not enough to take him down. Bottom inhibitor is down. Middle inhibitor has fallen. We'll see if LGD can force Starhorn out of their base. Looks like they'll leave of their own accord.
Yeah, and XQ miscalculated the phosphorus bomb by a little bit. He barely missed it. He threw it out while Korn was still in the zone as Hourglass stayed. So Starhorn, they do take 2 inhibitors, they do take the Baron, and usually Baron is the thing that turns the games around, where teams throw or teams come back, and LGD weren't even able to come there in time for the steal, to even try and steal it. So, well, LGD's hopes should be really down at this moment. They should really be thinking about the second game already. There's just 1 turret for them, so even if they get 3 aces, they still have to chunk through the base of Starhorn, take down 3 turrets to just get to the Nexus.
Starhorn having a little bit of an issue closing out the game. They always seem to overdive just a little bit. And XQ's damage is just ridiculous. That guy is 7 and 3 in the midst of a team who don't have the same number of kills that he does combined between all 4 of them. So way out in front as far as kills are concerned. Has those big 4 items for double penetration as well as Infinity on top of Trinity. The homonymous synergy there. LGD, now they're the ones actually setting up for a pick. Now Zero does have a Banshee's Veil, so he will be invulnerable to the charm. But Okola's going to come around the corner. An immediate death sentence right into the last breath. The counter, with the ultimate coming out from Braum as well, is going to help Starhorn try to disengage. They don't find any picks just yet. And now it's actually Insect looking to go in. They see the exclamation marks. LGD back off to their pink wards. They'll stay safe as Starhorn. Now they're the ones pushing in onto the base. Death sentence lands onto Cola. 17, or Korn rather, just looking for an opportunity to go in there. Look at the damage coming out for the back line. Use the eye, just destroys LGD. He's got the backup there from Korn, and LGD find a 5 for, or Starhorn rather, find a 5 for 1 exchange. Korn will, or Cola rather, will take one for the team, but Starhorn will take game number 1. 30-14 in a dominant Game 1 win.
And a 20,000 gold advantage. From the very beginning of the game, they were going for the picks, but they were winning. 2 for 1, 3 for 1. They always came out on top, and that just led to UZI being really fed. That just led to the snowball of Korn, and that let them win the game. So LGD, they should switch their bans by a little bit, but who do you not ban against Starhorn?
I think we're actually going to see a continuation here of the Ice Bucket Challenge. We'll see what's going on as you guys watch this. So I'll be hopping into game number 2 in just a minute.